And hello, everyone. Welcome to Game Over. The Ottawa Senators come out with a 3-0 win over the Seattle Kraken. Just a fantastic game overall. Basically, minute 1 through minute 60 on the road against the Seattle Kraken. It seems as though, as I'm going to move back here, I'm running solo here tonight, by the way. I'm Damian Smith, for anyone who doesn't know me. Wow, what a performance from the squad tonight. I get that a lot of fans that might be up right now. It's 1 a.m. for everyone, so I'm not expecting really any chats going tonight, but I'm stoked. I am feeling really good. There has been some tough games so far this year where I've had to, do these game over games, and it's been rough because most of the time the team is in it, but then they always just sort of fumble and they lose 2 points. And man, they are getting it on the road, I feel like now. Like, they play a different sort of game. As, yes, shout out you, Ty, for joining the chat right now. I don't know what time zone you're in right now. Maybe it's 1 a.m. for you, but thank you for joining tonight. You're going to be my co-host tonight, as you've been in the chat pretty much every game so far this year. But I just feel like they know how to play on the road now, it seems like. That is Linus Ullmark's, I believe, his third shutout of the year. Anton Forsberg has 2, and we played 2 games against the Seattle Kraken, and we have not allowed 1 single goal. Kenty Lalonde as well on the mic for the 3rd time this game. This is the 3rd game that the Ottawa Senators have won 3-0 on the road. It's insane. It's insane. Like, I've never been happier in a long time to be a Sens fan. This is their 4th game in a row. This is a streak of 8-2-1 right now. This team is absolutely rolling. We should be celebrating right now because we haven't had this consistent of a stretch in a long time. I feel like in the past, the Sens got a 4-game win streak. It would have been a little bit, a mix of everything. But ever since this team has gone on that 4-game win streak, they have played great defensive hockey. And here's the thing. Like, it all starts from Linus Ullmark. This guy, this is what we need. This is what we need for a goaltender. I'm serious. This is what we deserve as a Sens fan base right now. We have waited for this type of performance now, albeit I think he has a .956 save percentage in his last 7 games. I don't think we're expecting that, obviously, but we haven't had this domination from a goaltender since, I don't know, like Craig Anderson at some point, right? Maybe you look back to the lockout season when he had, I think, a .941 save percentage, and he got injured, unfortunately, but that's our last really good goaltender that the Sens have had. And in his last couple of years there, he was getting older, and he was, I think he was 38 or something when he left. So it made sense when he was going to drop off. And then we just have had, let's go through. I'm just going to be rambling tonight for everyone who's in the chat. The Sens, let's go through the Sens goaltenders, right? Let's just not focus on the game for right now. Let's go through the Sens goaltenders, right? Ever since Craig Anderson left. The first guy, Matt Murray, 2 years with the Sens, very subpar numbers. He had some good games in there where he put up 40 saves and his save percentage looked great, and that sort of evened it out a little bit, but the consistency was not there whatsoever. It was not. That was a very inconsistent goalie. I hope he can find his way back in the league because he seems like a good guy, but he's out of the league right now, basically. He's a 3rd stringer. Next up, I guess let's bend Anton Forsberg in here, right? He's been here a while, but Anton Forsberg has had probably 2 good seasons. In 2021-22, he had a .917 save percentage, which is very good. But the thing about Forsberg that year was that team was not good defensively whatsoever. They allowed a lot of shots. And that propped up his save percentage. There were a lot of games there where he was allowing 35 to 40 shots, but he'd only allow 2 goals. So that means the save percentage goes up, right? The next season, we acquire Cam Talbot. Cam Talbot has a good start, and then he really falls off right after that. I remember it was around December of that year We beat Boston, I believe it was on New Year's Eve, and he had like the game of his life basically. And there was conversations about us extending him. And then right after that, it kind of just dropped. It dropped, and eventually at the end of the year, they weren't even playing him. He was healthy, but they were relying on Sogard to win them games. Let's go through the next guy, Jonas Korpisalo. He spends one season with the Ottawa Senators last year, and he has an 890 save percentage. He has some good games, but overall, if we got goaltending last year, it would have been a completely different conversation. Then arrives Linus Ullmark. My goodness, like this guy had such a bad start too, and obviously it takes a little while for for a goaltender to get acclimated, I think, in a way. But ever since that Vancouver game, this guy has been the team's MVP. There's no doubt about it. And isn't it nice to watch Sens game and just feel confident that your goalie is going to go in there and make all the saves he needs to? And lately, it's been more than that. Like, the Sens could have won this game 3-2. Ullmark could have allowed 2 goals tonight on 32 shots or whatever it was. And it would have been fine. His save percentage would have looked good, and they would have won the game into regulation. But he didn't do that. He didn't do that. And that's so good. It's so good for the franchise. I can't talk about it enough because this is what we have deserved for a long time. I like to say usually that 70% of the game goes through your goaltender. Because if your goalie can't make the saves, like especially the easy ones, you know, those shots from the point, the shots from the corner. Like as a goaltender, I was never a goaltender playing up. I don't know if anyone in the chat was like that as well. Or watching this video because it's super late. I don't know a lot about goaltending, but you know, if I was a goaltender, I would try and take out the easy shots just as much as I can. And Linus Ullmark is doing that right now. Like the Sens also, as a 5-man unit, are playing to their best of their abilities at 5-on-5 right now as well. The PK was good tonight. But also, this team, as a 5-man unit, it's working tremendously. So, like you're looking at guys like Drake Batherson, who, you know, I don't want to say he was lazy in past years, obviously, but, you know, he's always been an offensive guy his entire career. He's been a winger. He's never been a center for the most part, and he's never been a penalty killer. So, naturally, you're going to be the guy that's going to be hanging out at the blue line and waiting for passes. And, you know, that's okay in hindsight, I guess. But he's a guy like that is making the extra effort out there. And it's not just him, though. It's basically everyone. Like, I don't see anyone coasting on the ice right now. And it's great just to talk about, like, the Sens doing well and not having to pick apart little things to improve the team and be depressed about it. So I'm really hyped right now to talk about, like, every guy on the ice is doing that little extra effort, right? They're covering the tight spaces. They're covering the slot so well. Like, even tonight with Seattle getting a bunch of opportunities, none of them were like crazy, you know? None were like Ullmark had to dive out and make a crazy save. Maybe towards the end. So that was interesting because I'm watching that play with Seattle trying to get one goal past Ullmark, and I'm saying, nope, it's not happening tonight. It's not. And when you have a goaltender to that ability, like, I'm honestly astounded right now because I've been a Sens fan for around 12 years now. I don't remember a stretch like this from one goaltender, from one game to another. Like, it's been 8 games now, and I believe, reading Alex Adams' tweet just a couple of minutes ago, he has a 956 save percentage in there. Pretty insane. I'm just going to take a swig of water right now. Anyone in the chat who has any comments, questions, please throw them in there. I'm going to be responding to them. This is great, but I'll be back in like just 2 seconds here. But let's go through the game, though. The Sens start out pretty slow. Now, that keep in mind, this is the first game on a large road trip for this team. They're going to be on the road, I believe, for 3 weeks, it seems like. And This is their first game on the road, so they have to get used to the time change too. That's an important thing. We saw that against the San Jose Sharks a couple of weeks ago when originally this entire hot stretch started, actually, with that Adam Gaudette late goal there. And the team they have to get used to the Pacific time and stuff, I guess. And the shots, I believe, were 15-7 after the first period. So the Sens, they weren't great to start off. There was a couple chances there. But what I liked was that they were covering the slot very well, and Linus Ullmark gave them a chance to win, right? That is all we have asked for as an Ottawa Senators fan base. We head into the intermission with a 0-0 tie. And usually, I feel like in the past we would be more pessimistic, but I don't know about a lot of you watching that game. I felt pretty optimistic for the most part heading into that second period. I think the Sens match up very well with the Seattle Kraken because the Kraken don't have a ton of offensive firepower. So as long as the Sens play simple, their talent can take over in games. And you saw that today with like the Timmy goal on the breakaway there, right? The Kraken don't have a ton of offensive talent. The Sens do. They got Timmy, they got Brady, they got Batherson, who are three forwards who are, you could maybe even lump Norris in there as well, arguably better than all the forwards on Seattle. So it's 0-0 after the first. And then midway through the second period, right, this is the perfect road game for the Sens. And this is what I like because these are the type of games this team needs to play to win and get into the playoffs if they want to have a chance this year. Shane Pinto, who didn't score last game, he got 2 goals the game before against Carolina, comes in, protects the puck on the right side, and sneaks it through the 5-hole of Joey Daccord, who I just will say, shout out to Daccord. He didn't play fantastic tonight, but it's awesome to see a guy like that, a 7th round pick in 2015 for the Sens, make it to the NHL after all these years and be an NHL starter. I thought he could have made Team Canada as well for the Four Nations. But beats Daccord 5-hole. Pinto picks up, I believe, his 4th goal of the year. His 3rd in his last 3 games. He's starting to heat up now, right? Now we're starting to get the depth scoring, and that's the key part for this team if they want to get wins on the road, but also just win those extra little games there, those timely goals, especially from the depth. And then a couple minutes later, a nice play from the 4th line, right? Though to Stopchuk and Gregor and Greg line haven't combined for a ton of offense overall, I don't think, but Gregor picks off a pass from Ridley Gregg. Ostapchuk drives to the net to suck in a couple of defense there. And then Gregor takes that pass on the right side and absolutely snipes it top shelf and puts the Sens up 2-0. And then you're starting to feel really confident, really confident. I don't think it was ever in doubt tonight. Especially when you're going up against the Kraken, who, like, let's be honest here, they're pretty mid. They're pretty mid, pretty much by all accounts. They're not bad, really, in any category. It's just one of those teams they're an expansion team, right? So they're going to be in the mix and stuff, and they're right outside the playoffs from what I checked. But they don't have a ton of offensive firepower, so when the Sens play a simple game down the stretch, they're going to take care of business, and they did just that. Their second period was great, probably their best one in terms of shots against. And then the third period comes around. A nice play from Giroux after he gets absolutely decked without the puck. I don't know what's going on there. But Giroux at the blue line pokes it to Gaudette. Gaudette flip pass, kind of not over the head of the defenseman, but through a couple of sticks, and Timmy just picks off the pass. And beats Daccord, sort of. He beat him sort of the first time, and he got lucky with a little bounce there. But that's the type of season Timmy has had so far. And that's what I'm talking about, the difference between the talent between the Sens and the Kraken. Timmy, breakaway, buries it, 3-0. Game's pretty much over at that point. Brady takes that penalty with a couple minutes left, but, the game was over then. And yeah, the Sens come out with a 3-0 win. A couple of scary looks there towards the end of the game. But the Sens, the players and Ullmark, they do the best of their abilities to get that shutout, and they do it, right? I didn't want to jinx them because I didn't want to tweet out shutout or the word or anything like that. I'm stoked. I'm stoked right now. Um, Pete Wilson says Allmark masterclass again. Feels good to have a reliable elite goalie, right? That's the thing. That's the thing. Elite goalie. Not we've had guys in the past who have been average starters, right? On paper at least, because you look at Korpisalo 2 seasons ago when he was traded from Columbus to LA. He had some decent stats in there, but it wasn't like he was like playing 60 games a year and a 920 save percentage. I think he played around 45 and he had like a 913 or something combined, which is, it's solid, don't get me wrong, but is that a guy that is truly elite? No, it's not. And then you see right now he's below subpar in Boston right now. So there you go, right? And the Sens capitalize on getting an elite goalie, because when you talk about like the floor of Ullmark is already pretty low. This guy hasn't had a season where he's been under 900 save percentage. He hasn't. And he's been in the league for a while, ever since I think 2018. It's been a while. Like 2018 is not yesterday, even though in my mind I still think it is. But his ceiling can be so high, and I think there's just a little bit more that he could get up there, because he's obviously split the net with Swayman in the past. Now he's going to have an opportunity to be the guy here in Ottawa. And it doesn't look like he's going to lose the net, right? Are you guys throwing Marilainen in the net on Thursday? No. Don't even think about it. Like, don't put Marilainen in the net until Ullmark has a terrible game. I'm serious, because he has a lot to prove here in a way, right? He probably hears over the summer like the discourse about the Boston decor and how, the Boston decor was so good in front of him, and there's a reason why they didn't allow a lot of goals. And it's because of their top four, and a lot of credit wasn't given to the goaltenders. Some of it was, sure, but I feel like it was more 60-40 to the Boston defense. And now Ullmark is the starter. He's the clear starter. Like, I would play him 60 games this year, the way that he's playing right now. And maybe I'm riding on a high, but he's been so good. Elite goaltender is what this team has needed over the past a long time, basically. Ever since 2017, this team has really lacked a solid goaltender. You could throw in Anton Forsberg there in that 1 year in 2022 when he had a good save percentage. But that's it. Like, the Sens haven't had a guy over probably 9-10 ever since that Forsberg season. Even Talbot, when he came in, he was below subpar. I think he had a 902, something like that. I believe the average for save percentage right now for goaltenders is somewhere around 905. It's not as high as it used to be because scoring's up. But I'm curious to see what his save percentage is right now, because heading into this game, he had a 910. And you get a shutout in there, man, it's probably looking like 915. And at one point, this guy had an 885. He had an 885 save percentage for this squad. Just reading a couple comments here as I got it on my phone right now. So if I look like I'm looking at the ground, that's why. 3 back-to-back games against elite teams aren't coming up. Ullmark's going to need a rest. The team does not want to overwork him, from Ty Smith. I see your point. I do. So I would say, the Sens head to Calgary on Thursday. So, you get a night off there. And then they play Edmonton right after. No, they play Vancouver right after. So that's a tough one. Because who do you pick? Do you throw Marilainen in next game against the worst team in Calgary? Or do you ride the hot hand? Because he's so good right now. He's so good. He's not. I feel like at the start of the year, maybe he was overthinking things a little bit, and maybe a lot of the noise was getting to him. But now, the best thing you could do is, as an athlete out there, and for anyone who has played like sports in the past, and I mean, the highest level I played was house league hockey, but just, from a personal note, the best, like the times that I feel like I played the best in sports was when I just didn't think, and I just played purely off of instinct. That's not me not using my brain out there, but when you're a goaltender in the net and a lot of the game is mental compared to a player perspective, man, you gotta be sharp, and he is sharp pretty consistently now because he's in a good rhythm, right? And then Pete Wilson says, "Do we have a time frame on Forsberg? Going to need him on this road trip?" I don't know, Pete. They're a little bit more secretive than in past years about injuries and stuff, I feel like, because we never figured out what that Pinto injury was. I felt like he was playing through something in his little stretch there where he wasn't scoring whatsoever. But Forsberg, I think we're going to have to wait a little bit here. I have a feeling he'll be back after Christmas, but I have no intel on that whatsoever. Are we feeling confident about Forsberg, though, going in the net? I don't know. Because this is a netminder who, in years past, I think he does better when he gets a lot of shots. And when I feel like a lot of the time the Sens have started Forsberg at home, and typically that's when the Sens allow less shots. And when the boys don't allow a lot of shots on net, Forsberg's feeling cold, and he's a guy that needs to feel the puck, right? I think Ullmark, to a degree, is the same, but I think Ullmark has shown in the past that no matter what type of game arrives for him, he will figure out a way at the end of the year to have a good save percentage. And I don't know a ton about the advanced analytics about goaltenders and stuff, but that's kind of just how I go off of is a save percentage at the end of the day. So yeah, Forsberg might be a little bit because obviously the injury popped up right before the last game, so they just threw Ullmark in there and he played great. He allowed 1 goal, so there you go, right? On a side note, I don't want to talk about goaltending anymore at this rate, I think, but I'm so stoked about it. Let's talk about some of the players tonight who I think had a good performance overall. One guy that I don't think I've talked about a lot so far this year is Zach Ostapchuk. He's obviously not going to put up a ton of points on the board. He's played more games than I thought he did, but he picks up an assist tonight. He looks very comfortable out there. That's the thing. A lot of times when you bring up a younger player and you throw him in the bottom 6 and you don't give him a ton of reps, they feel like a ghost out there sometimes. Now, a guy like Cole Reinhardt, I'm surprised he hasn't gone in the lineup, but at the same time, this team has kept winning. So, you know what? Keep the same lineup. Ostapchuk is 21, and he's in his second year of being a pro. And honestly, he looks damn good on that fourth line. He could be a guy that can just stay the entire season with the team, and I'd be okay with it. I don't think it would ruin his development tremendously, but he can hang. He can hang. And for the Sens in the bottom 6, they do need a little bit of size. Because you look at Gregor, average size. Greg, average size. Pinto, I think he's 6'3", so that's helpful. Cousins, on the smaller side, he's a little bit of a rat out there. And then Amadio, I think, is like 6'2" or something. Ostapchuk, I think, is like 6'3", 6'4", and he moves well for a big guy, too. He's a good skater. He's a very good skater. And Jason York made a comment on Twitter today comparing him to Adam Lowry, and I agree. Not right now, obviously. It's going to take a long time if he does reach that. But Adam Lowry is such a good player for the Winnipeg Jets. He's big. Ostapchuk's just not 6'6", but he's good on draws. He's physical. He can kill penalties too. And if you go on a long run in the playoffs, you need guys like that because they're going to be able to handle the physicality and the grind, but they're also going to put in the effort, and they have the intangibles. When you look at the face-offs, you look at the penalty killing, And you can throw them out for an effective shift in the bottom six, and they're going to do their job very well. Like, third lines are really important. They are really important. That kind of leads me into my next topic, which I could go through this entire team on how they're so good right now. The Amadio, Cousins, and Pinto line is looking good. And the thing is that this coaching staff took like 25 games to really run with some lines. There's been every single combination you could think of. There was like a Norris, Gregor, Batherson combo at one point. There was Giroux, Batherson, Norris. Giroux started out on the right, and now he's on the left. And now there's Gaudette with Stutzla and Stutzla and Giroux. a bunch of combinations have been the way this year. But I like how there's just consistency now. Let's don't overthink it. You can even Travis Hamonic, obviously you want Zub in there. You obviously want Artem Zub in there, but there's no timetable on when Zub is going to be coming back, just at least in the short term here. So keep the lines the same. Don't overthink it, because the team is used to playing together now, right? They're not we're 30 games into the season. So there's no excuse, right? This team should know how to play on the defensive side of the puck. You always see at the start of the season, the first 10 games, there's a lot more scoring. There is a lot more scoring. For the first 10 games, the leading scorer will have 23 points because offense is just up. But then things start to trickle down. And then you see games like tonight, 3-0 on the road, boring. Imagine you're a Seattle Kraken fan. You go into that game, and then the road team just comes in, and you don't even get a goal for yourself and to cheer for. That sucks, right? And it's a Tuesday night as well. And it's Ottawa. There's no rivalry there. It would just suck overall, being a Seattle fan tonight. But those are the games the Sens needed to take care of. Ty says, Ostapchuk does not hurt the team. Never really seen him making big mistakes. And that's all you want from the fourth liner. Agreed, man. There's a lot of prospects out there that will not fit in on a fourth line, I don't think, because they need more reps and stuff when it comes to the little details, right? Being in a good position, having your stick available, being physical, and making an impression every shift, right? And obviously having the effort as well. And Ostapchuk kind of ticks all those boxes. He hasn't got a goal yet, sure, but he picks up an assist tonight. You never know. This guy, who knows? Maybe he stays on the team. Because Perron, we have no idea what's going to be going on there at all. Is he close? That's the thing. What I was saying before, this team is really secretive with injuries. We don't know what's going on with Perron. Well, we'll see. Because right now, I think Reinhardt's up with the club, but other than that, they don't have any extra bodies. McEwen's down in the A. So, right. Perron as well. Where does he fit when he comes back? It's a great question. Because where do you throw him in? He's 36, I believe. He's played, I believe, 9 games so far this year. He hasn't recorded a single point. Where does he go? I think the sexy pick would be the second line with Giroux and Stutzla, and you replace Perron with Gaudette. So then you move Gaudette down to the fourth line, I guess, and then you probably take out Ostapchuk at that point. Maybe you send down Ostapchuk to the A again to give him some more reps. That's a possibility for that to happen, because if you put Perron on the fourth line, then you're taking out, let's say you take out Ostapchuk. You got Ostapchuk, Gregor, and Greg. It's not a bad line, actually, whatsoever. It could work. It could work for sure. I just don't know if David Perron came into this lineup to play fourth line minutes. But at this rate, they could roll 4 lines, right? Because I know there were some comments and stuff about Gaudette playing, or at least Timmy and his wingers, right? With Gaudette and Giroux. They're guys who are not the fastest, of course. Giroux being 36, and then Gaudette, who I think he's obviously gotten by being a crazy good scorer. But this year, the thing is that I like about the Gaudette and Stützle combination is Gaudette knows his role. He knows there's no BS. Like, don't do anything stupid out there and you're going to hang. Especially when your coach is Travis Green and he knows you. Do something, like, do the simple things out there and let your offensive instincts just take over. Because he's not going to kill penalties. He's probably not going to be out there 6-on-5 to get an extra goal. Timmy is, like, he can carry the play, right? Zach Hyman has made a living off of just being the third guy or maybe the second guy on the line, letting the star carry the play and getting in the right spots, forechecking, tipping pucks, doing the dirty work, and the star's going to take over. He's going to get you extra cookies. And Gaudette picks up an assist tonight. I think he's around half a point per game so far this year. I know the goal scoring's obviously dipped a little bit, but we all expected that. And I would say keep him up there. Like, he is not hurting the team whatsoever. So if you bring Perron back, I mean, he might help out a little bit more, and maybe I don't know what he would do better at this rate, because Gaudette has been the weirdest, strangest addition to this team. Like, I don't know about all of you in the chat tonight, but I had a feeling like Gaudette was going to be the first line AHLer, because last year 44 goals in the A. I think he led the league, if I'm correct on that one. Like a clear AHL score on paper, at least. And then he has a good camp, and then he starts out as the fourth line center because, you know, Jan Yannick surprisingly got sent down. Y'all remember when people had him as their fourth line center? And Ostapchuk was too young, so they sent him down to the A. So then they were left with Gaudette, but who had a great camp too. So, you know, you're not going to send down a guy who has whatever it was, like 5 goals in 5 games. They keep him down there. Not your prototypical fourth line center, but he has a really hot start, and that can carry your momentum for at least, when you're a guy like Gaudette, you can buy yourself some extra time in the league, at least 10 or 20 games, especially when you have Travis Green in your corner. And then he moves up to the top 6. And so he played with Timmy and Brady the start of the San Jose game, scored 2 goals that night, and then kind of gets shuffled around. And whenever there's been injuries, and Perron's been out quite a bit, he has taken the opportunity to move up in the lineup and do well, and had a nice assist tonight. Maybe he got a little lucky on that, but you know what? Points are points at the end of the day. And Adam Gaudette has been just pretty good. Like, I won't say fantastic or anything, but has done his job immaculately. And that's the issue with the Sens in the past, is that their depth has sort of been, I don't want to say their weakness, but it has held them back at times, in terms of an individual performance way. Because before the Anaheim game, their depth was not scoring whatsoever. And then once Cousins got that goal against Anaheim, I feel like this team really started to, you know, do really well, because now I feel like they're feeling good about their game. They're feeling really good about their game. They're not worrying about, like, allowing a weird goal from the point or anything like that. That's where I think their head's at. Like, they got to be feeling really good right now overall as a squad. Each player, I think, is contributing. Like a guy like Travis Hammond, can we hate on him right now? I don't think so. He's doing his job. I don't think he's going to be helping the team overall, but he's not hurting them. So keep the decor as it is. And I think if you just play simple hockey down the stretch, your team is going to win most of the games, I think. The Sens right now are in a playoff spot, I believe, improved to 16-13-2. So they're in the second wild card spot. Unfortunately, Boston won tonight in overtime against Calgary, so we're right behind Tampa Bay and Boston, who is third, but Boston has played more games. So that's the team that we should all be eyeing right now, is the Boston Bruins, because the top three in the Atlantic seems like it's going to be set. You have the Florida Panthers, who have trailed off a little bit in the latest couple of weeks. The Toronto Maple Leafs, who Anthony Stolarz is out 4 to 6 weeks, and he has been amazing this year for the Leafs as their starter. I believe was at this rate, I think he had a 927 to start the year, and he was playing like the bulk of their games. And then you got the Boston Bruins, who I think they have a minus 18 goal differential, and they're somehow in the hunt. Like, I hate this team. I'm sorry. They find a way to win, though, so I have to respect it, you know? And then finally, the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are doing very well this year, and are having a nice bounce back. And their goal differential, I think, is like plus 35. Maybe I'm tripping. But their goal differential, I looked it up the other day, and it was outstanding. Like, it's top 3 in the league. So they basically have, I think at this rate, they have a top 3 spot probably locked up. So then the Sens have kind of 2 spots there to be battling out with, because you look at the Metro, you have New Jersey, you have Carolina, and you have Washington, who are really good this year. And then the Rangers just decided to suck. And honestly, I don't know how they're sucking so bad right now, but maybe it's a little bit of karma for throwing out that random Brady Tkachuk rumor. Ever since that, they have not done well whatsoever. And they just, after a loss tonight to Nashville, they hit 500. So the Sens have an opportunity here, right? Not saying they're going to make the playoffs, right? And I'm not saying like we should be a contender or anything. But there's 2 spots there, at least right now, on December 17th, with a couple games before Christmas. And maybe we've been a little lucky. We've been a little lucky by 16, 13, and 1. It's not or 16, 13, and 2. It's not the best record in the world. It's not. But I think a lot of demands we had as fans this offseason was just to be in the mix. I don't know about all of you, but I want playoffs, obviously. And I think if the Sens miss the playoffs, then it's a failure, because I know this team can't do it. I know it. Like, you saw it tonight and you've seen it. The talent is there, and they just need to play the right way. And a lot of the time that will take care of business, especially when your goaltender is that good. Like, when your goaltender is playing that well, he's going to give you a chance every single night. You just need to take care of business, score some goals, and you're good. That's all that it comes down to at the end of the day. In the sense, there's two spots as of right now. Detroit falling out. Buffalo tanking again. They're not trying to, but they are. They're tanking. I think 11 losses in a row. They lost to Montreal 6-1. Like, come on. We're separating ourselves from Detroit and Buffalo, the trio of mid in the past couple of years. We can't talk trash about being like, we can't. I'm not trying to dunk on those teams, but we're separating our team from them right now. And we should, because Detroit shouldn't be good. I'm sorry. Detroit should not be good. Buffalo should be better, I think, than Detroit, but I don't know what's going on there. I'm just thankful we're not in that position, because it really feels like the Melnick years in, post 2017, basically, in Buffalo right now. But there's a big clump right there right now. There's Pittsburgh and Phillies in there, Columbus, sort of. I'm blanking on the team. The Islanders, kind of, but they've been losing. So there's an opportunity, guys. There's an opportunity for the Sens to really run with this right now. I think we should just keep Linus Ullmark in the net going forward. More than I know, the coaching staff has had this sort of plan. It seems like they know when they're going to be starting their netminers. Like, there's going to be a random Tuesday and they're going to be playing against I don't know, like the Wild at home, and they're going to play Forsberg. Like, they just know it. But man, just ride the hot hand because this is a goalie that can do it. Like he can play game in, game out. I think. I don't think he's gonna get super tired. Maybe I just jinxed him. I don't know. But as of right now, like this guy is, Allmark is such a pleasure to watch, guys. I can't say it enough. It's an awesome thing to see out there. If anyone has any final thoughts in the chat, please throw them in right now. I'm just sort of, it's not scripted. I haven't even said any ad reads because honestly, I'm stoked to, be up here. Luckily, I'm in the Pacific zone, so it's 10:30 for me. That's why maybe I have a little bit more energy than Maude or Charlie or Nick might have. But it's great to see this team like go out on the road and put up pretty much a perfect performance out there. And it's not like, this is a one-off. You look at the Carolina game too. Now, the Carolina, obviously deserves some goals in there, but the Sens played pretty good by all accounts. And the Pittsburgh game, a little shaky, but they still got the 2 points. That's all that I care about. And I think these two past road games have really just outweighed that Pittsburgh game anyway. So, like this team, I don't know what their ceiling is. I don't. But when you have a goaltender this good, then things are going to look pretty good for the squad. I also wanted to give a shout out to JBD and Clevin on that third pair. Travis Green, when Zub comes back, please keep that pair together. They were a +2 tonight. They didn't play a lot because I think they were relying on their top four, especially when, it becomes crunch time and you try to defend a lead. But they work very well together. JBD, the puck mover, Clevin, the big brute back there. +2 tonight for both of them. Obviously, they're not going to put a ton of points up on the board, but they're playing very efficient hockey. And that's what you need from your third pair, right? Just consistent, reliable hockey. And there hasn't been a ton of games where if you looked at them and be like, wow, they sucked, Hamonic, shout out Hamonic, like him and Sanderson have found a rhythm, I think. It's crazy that he's played every game but one when you're talking about Hamonic, but injuries happen, right? So goes in there, he's done an adequate job, I think, for comparing to our expectations, what he's done. And then obviously the Jensen Chabot pair has been just fantastic. Like no issues there. Please don't split them up. The key with the defense core is just reps, I think. And each pair has there's a fluidity to it right now. They know their tendencies. The communication is off the charts right now, I feel like, in terms of positioning. Just for example, like when Chabot will go back and get the puck, the outlet pass, or when he drops it off to Jensen, Jensen's been like the best. No, maybe Allmark's been better, but Jensen's being a great addition as well. No issue there. We needed a guy like that, especially with the Zoop injury. So yeah, like don't change any lines, and this team I think will do pretty well against Calgary because Calgary is slipping right now. This team is hot. They're taking advantage of their opportunities. Linus Ullmark is a brick wall back there. Brick wall. Like, I don't say that a lot about Ottawa Senators goaltenders. And I think that things will be pretty good going forward. So, thanks everyone for tuning in tonight. I know for a lot of you it might be 1:30 a.m. in the morning, which is crazy that y'all are up right now, but I appreciate it. I got 5 people in the chat right now, so shout out you. I appreciate all the support and the comments tonight, as I've had to kind of solo dolo this, but I went on for 46 minutes, which is way longer than I actually originally expected. So thanks to everyone for tuning in. The Ottawa Senators pick up their 4th win in a row with a 3-0 win over the Seattle Kraken. We'll be back on Thursday. I believe it will be Maude and Charlie. We'll have a recap of the Calgary game. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and hope you have a good night. Go Sens, go.